Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me carefully. As you stand at the gate of a new year, many of you are looking around instead of looking within. You are measuring your life by who stayed, who left, who clapped for you, who criticized you, who believed in you, and who doubted you. You are carrying names, faces, conversations, disappointments, and expectations that were never meant to cross into the next season with you. You are asking God to move you forward while your heart is still tied backward. This is why tonight I say to you plainly and lovingly, focus on yourself in 2026 and let them go. You cannot enter a new season with an old grip. You cannot walk into a new year while dragging people who have finished their assignment in your life. Some of the pain you call spiritual warfare is actually emotional attachment. Some of the delay you call testing is actually distraction. You are praying for growth, but your attention is scattered. You are asking for clarity, but your eyes are divided. But divided focus produces a confused destiny. Look at your life honestly. How much of your energy is spent explaining yourself? How much of your strength is wasted trying to be understood? How much of your time is consumed replaying conversations that are already over? You are fighting battles that no longer exist, proving points that no longer matter, and carrying people who are no longer walking with you. This is not humility. This is bondage. Focus is not selfishness. Focus is stewardship. When you fail to focus on yourself, you neglect the assignment God placed inside you. You become busy with opinions instead of purpose. You become occupied with reactions instead of direction. In 2026, you must understand that your greatest responsibility is not to please people, but to obey God's process in your life. There are people you must let go of, not because they are evil, but because they are expired. Milk is good, but if it stays too long, it becomes poison. Relationships can be blessings, but when seasons change and you refuse to adjust, those blessings turn into burdens. Some people were sent to introduce you, not to stay with you. Some were meant to assist you, not to accompany you. When you confuse introduction with destination, you suffer unnecessary pain. Listen to me. Letting go does not mean you hate them. Letting go means you love your future enough to release your past. It means you respect the next level enough to travel light. Many of you are delayed not because the road is blocked, but because your hands are full. God wants to put something new in your hands, but you are still gripping what He already asked you to release. Focus on yourself means returning to your inner life. It means checking the condition of your heart before checking the behavior of others. It means asking yourself hard questions. Am I growing or am I just aging? Am I becoming better or just becoming bitter? Am I disciplined or just busy? Am I healing or just surviving? In 2026, survival will not be enough. God is calling you into alignment. Alignment between your thoughts and your actions. Alignment between your prayers and your decisions. Alignment between your confession and your character. You cannot claim faith while feeding fear. You cannot declare victory while practicing doubt. Focus requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. Many people want change without confrontation. They want a new life without a new mindset. They want progress without pain. But transformation always begins with separation. Before elevation, there is isolation. Before promotion, there is pruning. God removes not to punish you, but to prepare you. When He takes someone away, it is often because He wants to speak to you without interference. Some of you are afraid of letting go because you think loneliness is failure. But loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the presence of purpose. There are moments when God pulls you aside so he can work inside you. Noise reduces sensitivity. Crowds weaken discernment. In quietness, you hear clearly. In separation, you grow deeply. Focus on yourself means mastering your reactions. Not everything deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves attention. Not every offense deserves memory. You lose power when you react emotionally to things that were designed to test your maturity. In 2026, you must graduate from emotional slavery. Stop giving people the remote control to your mood. Stop allowing words to dictate your worth. You are not defined by who walked away. You are not reduced by who misunderstood you. You are not limited by who failed to support you. Your value was settled before their opinion was formed. When people leave, let them go without dragging your self-esteem with them. Your destiny does not require their permission. There is a time to explain and there is a time to elevate. When you elevate, explanations become unnecessary. Eagles do not argue with chickens. Light does not debate with darkness. Truth does not fight with lies. It simply stands. In 2026, stand in your calling. Stand in your growth. Stand in your peace. Peace is expensive. It costs you relationships. It costs you ego. It costs you familiarity. But it pays you clarity, strength, and longevity. Many people are stressed, not because life is hard, but because they refuse to let go. They keep reopening doors God has closed. They keep watering plants God has uprooted. They keep revisiting places God has delivered them from. Let them go. Let the misunderstanding go. Let the disappointment go. Let the betrayal go. Let the unmet expectations go. You cannot heal while constantly touching the wound. Healing requires distance. Growth requires focus. Maturity requires acceptance. Focus on yourself also means discipline. Discipline in your thoughts. Discipline in your words. Discipline in your habits. What you tolerate today will dominate tomorrow. If you tolerate laziness, it will steal your future. If you tolerate negativity, it will poison your vision. If you tolerate distraction, it will rob your destiny. In 2026, guard your mind. Your mind is the battlefield where your future is decided. What you repeatedly think eventually becomes what you believe, and what you believe eventually becomes how you live. Stop rehearsing failure. Stop replaying rejection. Stop predicting disaster. Feed your mind with truth, patience, and faith. Some of you are exhausted not because you are doing too much, but because you are doing too many unnecessary things. Focus simplifies life. Focus removes confusion. Focus gives direction. When you know where you are going, you stop arguing with distractions. Let them go so you can grow. Growth demands space. Seeds do not grow in crowded hands. They grow in prepared soil. God is preparing you for fruitfulness, but He needs room. Room in your heart. Room in your schedule. Room in your priorities. Do not be afraid of outgrowing people. Growth is evidence of life. When you grow, your environment must change. If it does not change, it will restrain you. Some connections are comfortable but not constructive. Some conversations are entertaining but not empowering. In 2026, choose what builds you, not what binds you. Focus on yourself means taking responsibility. Stop blaming the past. Stop accusing people. Stop excusing habits. Responsibility is power. The moment you accept responsibility, you regain control. You may not be responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible for what happens in you. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can redesign tomorrow. You cannot control people, but you can control your response. You cannot force anyone to stay, but you can choose to move forward. This is maturity. As you step into 2026, understand this truth. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. And that is not a curse. It is a design. Seasons change so that purpose can unfold. When the season changes, adjust your focus. Focus on your healing. Focus on your growth. Focus on your discipline. Focus on your relationship with God. Focus on becoming whole, not just successful. Success without wholeness is failure in disguise. Wealth without peace is poverty. Recognition without character is exposure. Let them go so you can hear God clearly. Many times God is speaking, but you are too busy listening to voices that were never meant to guide you. Silence the crowd. Quiet the noise. Still your heart. Direction comes to those who are attentive. This year will not respond to wishful thinking. It will respond to intentional living. It will respond to focused faith. It will respond to disciplined action. Stop waiting for motivation. Choose commitment. Motivation comes and goes, but commitment carries you when feelings fail. Focus on yourself does not mean isolation forever. It means preparation for alignment. God removes you from the wrong people so He can connect you to the right ones. He disconnects you from distractions so He can introduce you to destiny. Trust the process. Some of you will look back and realize that what hurt you actually freed you. What broke you actually built you. What left you actually lightened you. What ended actually protected you. One day you will thank God not for what you kept, but for what you released. In 2026, stop chasing closure. Closure is not something others give you. It is something you decide. You close doors by moving forward. You find peace by accepting what is. You heal by choosing growth over grudges. Focus on yourself and let them go. Let go of the version of yourself that needed validation. Let go of the habits that kept you small. Let go of the fear of being misunderstood. Let go of the need to be liked. When you are aligned with purpose, approval becomes irrelevant. This is your year to be intentional. Intentional with your time. Intentional with your energy. Intentional with your focus. Your life will not change by accident. It will change by decision. Stand up in your spirit. Shake off the weight. Release the past. Fix your eyes forward. The future is calling, but it will not compete with distractions. Choose focus. Choose growth. Choose peace. Choose to let them go and finally become who you were created to be. What you release today decides how far you rise tomorrow. And this is a truth many people hear, but few truly understand. People want elevation without evacuation. They want promotion without separation. They want increase without decrease. But in the economy of the Spirit, nothing rises until something is released. Every new height demands a new letting go. Every next level requires a lighter version of you. You cannot rise while holding on to weights that were never designed to travel with you. Look at your life carefully. Examine not only what you are chasing, but what you are carrying. Many people are praying for lifting, yet they are emotionally grounded. They want to soar, but their hands are full. They want speed, but they are overloaded. You cannot blame gravity when your bags are heavy. You cannot accuse resistance when attachment is the problem. What you refuse to release becomes what resists your rise. Release is painful because it exposes attachment. It reveals where your heart has settled instead of where your destiny is calling. People cling to relationships, habits, mindsets, and identities, not because they are good, but because they are familiar. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Familiar limitation feels more predictable than unfamiliar freedom. So people choose comfort over calling and wonder why their lives remain stagnant. Rising demands courage. Courage to say this chapter is over. Courage to admit this season has changed. Courage to accept that something that once worked no longer serves the future you are entering. Elevation is not about adding more. It is about shedding what is unnecessary. God never lifts clutter. He lifts order. He never elevates confusion. He elevates clarity. Many people misunderstand release and think it means weakness. They think letting go means losing. But in reality, letting go is the highest form of strength. It takes strength to walk away from what feeds your ego but starves your soul. It takes strength to release applause when it distracts you from purpose. It takes strength to leave environments where you are celebrated for who you used to be, but restricted from becoming who you are meant to be. What you release today decides how far you rise tomorrow, because tomorrow responds to the posture of today. If today you choose bitterness, tomorrow you inherit heaviness. If today you choose forgiveness, tomorrow you inherit freedom. If today you choose fear, tomorrow you inherit limitation. If today you choose faith, tomorrow you inherit expansion. The future is not random. It is responsive. Some of you are asking why doors feel low, ceilings feel close, and progress feels slow. It is not because you lack potential. It is because you are carrying what no longer fits the altitude you are praying for. Higher levels require thinner air. Thinner air requires stronger lungs. Stronger lungs require training, and training requires release. You must release old narratives, the story you keep telling yourself about what happened, who failed you, who betrayed you, who delayed you. That story may be true, but it is not useful anymore. Truth that traps you is no longer serving you. Every time you repeat that story, you anchor yourself to a version of life that is already expired. Release the narrative so you can receive a new vision. Release comparisons. Comparison is a silent killer of elevation. When you measure your journey against someone else's timing, you distort your perception. You either rush what needs patience or despise what needs appreciation. Comparison steals gratitude. And gratitude is fuel for rising. A heart that is always looking sideways loses the strength to look upward. Release the need to be understood. Many people stay low because they are busy explaining their intentions, their pain, their choices. Elevation does not require explanation. Growth does not send notifications. When you are meant to rise, your life will speak louder than your defense. The higher you go, the less you owe people explanations. Release emotional debt. Stop expecting people to repay what they never promised. Stop demanding closure from people who lack the capacity to give it. Emotional debt chains you to the past. Freedom begins the moment you cancel the account. You do not need their apology to rise. You do not need their validation to move forward. Release delayed obedience. There are instructions you received long ago that you postponed because they were uncomfortable. You felt prompted to change, to move, to stop, to start, but you delayed. Delayed obedience is disobedience disguised as timing. Every delay costs altitude. Every hesitation postpones lifting. Release the identity that was built around survival. Survival teaches you how to endure, but elevation requires you to learn how to live. Some people are so used to fighting that they feel unsafe in peace. They mistake calm for danger and rest for laziness. But rising does not always come through struggle. Sometimes it comes through alignment. Release the habit of reacting. Reaction keeps you grounded in emotion. Rising requires response, not reaction. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Reaction hands control to circumstances. Response retains authority. As long as everything can provoke you, you remain small. Emotional mastery is spiritual altitude. Release fear of outgrowing people. Growth naturally creates distance. When you rise, your view changes. Your conversations change. Your tolerance changes. This does not mean you are better. It means you are different. Trying to stay the same to keep others comfortable will cost you your future. Release nostalgia. The past can be a teacher, but it must never become a residence. Some people live in memories because the present demands responsibility and the future demands courage. Nostalgia becomes dangerous when it replaces vision. You cannot rise while constantly looking backward. Release control. Control is rooted in fear. Fear of loss, fear of disappointment, fear of the unknown. But elevation requires trust. Trust that God sees what you cannot see. Trust that what is leaving is making room for what is coming. Trust that release is not abandonment but alignment. Release shortcuts. Shortcuts feel like progress but lead to repetition. Every shortcut eventually brings you back to the lesson you tried to skip. Rising the right way may take longer, but it builds capacity. Capacity determines how high you can go without collapsing. Release the need to rush. Speed without direction leads to burnout. Elevation is not about how fast you move. It is about how stable you become. Many people rise quickly and fall suddenly because they never released impatience. Patience is not delay, it is preparation. Release toxic loyalty. Loyalty that costs you your values is bondage. Loyalty that demands silence when truth is required is not faithfulness, it is fear. Rising sometimes means choosing integrity over acceptance. The higher you go, the more integrity you need to sustain the height. Release self-doubt. Doubt questions what God has already settled. Every time you doubt your worth, you resist your own elevation. Confidence is not arrogance. It is agreement with purpose. You rise fast when your inner voice aligns with divine intention. Release the habit of waiting for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions do not exist. Rising happens when you move with clarity, not comfort. Waiting for everything to align externally often means ignoring what is already aligned internally. Release yesterday's victories. Past success can become a trap when you keep replaying what you did before. You stop preparing for what is next. Elevation demands fresh oil, not old trophies. Yesterday's methods cannot always sustain tomorrow's calling. Release the weight of offense. Offense anchors you to the offender. Every time you hold offense, you give someone else control over your emotional state. You cannot rise freely while dragging resentment. Forgiveness is not approval, it is release. Release the need to carry everyone. Some people confuse responsibility with rescue. You are not assigned to save everyone. Some must fall so they can learn to stand. Carrying what God never assigned will break your strength and limit your altitude. Release distractions disguised as opportunities. Not every open door is yours. Some doors are tests of focus. Rising requires discernment to say no to good things so you can say yes to the right things. Release self-pity. Self-pity feels justified, but it weakens resolve. It keeps you focused on what was taken instead of what remains. Rising requires gratitude, even in pain. Gratitude repositions the heart for increase. Release the old version of yourself. The habits, the excuses, the mindset that belonged to a former season. You cannot demand a new future while protecting an old identity. Transformation requires burial before resurrection. What you release today decides how far you rise tomorrow, because elevation is not accidental. It is intentional alignment. It is daily surrender. It is choosing growth over comfort, purpose over popularity, freedom over familiarity. The sky does not reject birds that let go of branches. The branch was never the source of flight. The wings were always there, waiting for release.